One. And welcome back to a fantasy football podcast. I'm your host, Jono, and as always, my co-host Chris is here during the Mockathon, or our mock draftathon, as we call it. We are going through different positions here in our mock drafts to show you what it looks like at the different spots. We will be doing a 12-team standard mock draft throughout all these drafts with a 6-point QB, as well as 1 flex, 2 running back, 2 wide receiver, kicker, defense, tight end, and 6 bench spots, just to give you the layout of that platform. Before we jump into it, please like and subscribe. Hit the notification button so you can see all the mock drafts that we're dropping this week during our Mockathon so that you can get the edge on your league mates this year.
It's all right. Mockathon.
It's the Mockathon. We got to get some music in for that or something. I don't know. Maybe we got to contact our buddy to give us a little jingle. Let's jump into this.
Jingle.
Yeah, we'll get a jingle going. All right, so we got our board set up. I'm drafting from the 10 spot this time. Previously, I did the 11, and Chris did the 12. I started off at the 1 in our first one, and Chris did the 2, and he's at the 3 now. So I'm interested to see what he's going to do because I draft from the 3 spot in our league that Chris and I joined together. So I want to see what kind of magic he can make in that spot that maybe I'm not thinking about. So
babies. Make baby magic.
We are on the sleeper platform here, as you can see, and if there's any egregious picks here, like Travis Kelce 1 overall or something like that, I will pause it and I will go back and remove the player. But for the most part, we're going to let the computer do what they got to do. And we're going to zig and zag based on that and adapt, just like you're going to have to do in your league, because everybody's got that one league mate that just makes weird picks, and it kind of ruins the league sometimes, and other times you just got to take what falls to you at that point. So kicking it off, team 1, starting off with Jefferson, McCaffrey. I mean, that's kind of the stock chalk that you're seeing in standard leagues here.
What I'm going to do here at the 3 is I know the popular pick is Jamar Chase or Austin Eckler, and I'm going to say Augie to both of them. Okay, I'm going to go Tyreek Hill. This is a guy I think can absolutely finish as wide receiver 1 overall, and I absolutely love him here, and I'm not going to have a chance to get him anywhere else. So
Tyreek Hill there. So Cooper Kupp goes afterwards, who I think if he didn't have his hamstring, you could argue Cooper Kupp at that spot too as well. Again, That 3 spot is very variable, like you just said. It's just take the guy who you want the most on your team. Travis Kelce goes, Bijan Robinson, Jamar Chase, Eckler finally at the 8 spot, and Barkley at the 9. And man, I'm like so bummed because I really was hoping Barkley would fall to me at 10.
Second draft in a row.
Second draft in a row, he goes before me. But I'm gonna.
He fell to the 10th when you drafted from the 11th. He gets picked in the 9th at the 9th spot when you're drafting the 10th.
Yeah,
that's great.
So I'm gonna do something a little bit different for the viewers out there. I'm gonna go with a 0 RB here, and I'm gonna start with Stephon Diggs. I think this guy can finish top 3. AJ Brown goes, Taylor, Lamb, Mahomes. Wow, Chubb fell to me here. So here's one of the things. I said I'm going to go 0 RB. I don't think I can go 0 RB if Nick Chubb falls to you at the 2-3 spot. So I'm going to take Chubb and be happy with that. Walk out with 2 studs. Devontae Adams. Yeah, Derrick Henry, St. Brown, Jacobs, Allen, second quarterback in this round, Garrett Wilson, and now you're at the 210. You could double up on Miami.
I'm so tempted to go Waddle right here. I'm so tempted to go Waddle.
Is that like, to me, the meta now? Is that the meta? Like, just take the 2 top 10 wide receivers, like do that.
I'm so tempted to, but I'm gonna get my pick in before I get auto drafted again, and I'm gonna go with the guy I meant to go with last time. And that's Tony Pollard. So okay. I'm gonna throw that in there.
Andrews goes, then Waddle, so you don't get to double up on Miami's 2 studs. Stevenson, Olave. So you're sitting here with Hurts, Higgins, and Najee Harris as a top 3 ADP according to Sleeper.
Yeah, I mean it's gonna be hard for me to, I'm gonna go. I think I've drafted him. I wanted to draft him in all 3 of my rounds. I would draft him anywhere I can. It's kind of in between 2 people for me, and I'll let you guys know. It'll be between ETN and grabbing him here in the 3rd, and grabbing T. Higgins here in the 3rd. And it's a matter of like, who do I think I could get at wide receiver later on versus who I think I can get at running back later on. And I'm not going to be able to get a guy like ETN later on. So I'm going to go and grab ETN.
So Etienne goes, Hurts goes, Higgins, Metcalf, Najee, Devonta Smith, Debo, and back to me here. So here's the interesting thing that I'm going to do. I'm going to do something that, like, so last time I did the hero running back method, I wanted to do the zero running back method here, but that didn't happen because Nick Chubb fell to me. And I want to keep rolling with the punches. And normally if I knew Breece Hall and there was no Dalvin Cook, I would probably take Breece Hall here. In fact, he'd probably go earlier than this. I'm not going to jump on Lamar Jackson or Burrow right here. Jahmyr Gibbs, rookie, he's not going to have the full role. I got to go Joe Mixon. I find drafting him in the late third round is just a steal. So I'm going to give myself Joe Mixon, Nick Chubb right there. Aaron Jones, Breece Hall, Lamar Jackson, and Kenneth Walker go after me. And now I'm sitting here saying I want a piece of one of the top tight ends in this league. I don't want to be punting the position. I don't want to hope that somebody like Waller or Goddard fall to me in the 5th or 6th round. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to take TJ Hawkinson here, a guy who on his new team became a absolute stud, and they're going to be passing a ton again this year, and he's going to be the open man, especially with Addison being added to this lineup. Joe Burrow goes afterwards, Calvin Ridley, Jahmyr Gibbs, D-Hop, Keenan Allen, Miles Sanders, and back to Chris at the 4-10.
Yeah, this is. I think I'm going to do the same thing as you, but I'm going to go Kittle. I really like me some Kittle. I'm going to draft him, and what I think is going to happen is exactly that. Love it. Love to see it. I knew one of the teams after me because, both team 1 and team 2 didn't have quarterbacks at that point. So I knew one of them was probably going to go and draft a quarterback. I was hoping that 2 guys didn't go because there were 2 guys sitting there that I really wanted to grab in the 5th round. And that's Justin Herbert and the second guy I really like, which is Justin Fields.
So you get your quarterback, you get your tight end in the 4th, 5th round. Dobbins follows, Drake London, Kamara, Dameon Pierce, DJ Moore, Christian Watson. I'm sitting here, and I'm not going to take the Trevor Lawrence pick this early like I didn't do last, so I'm going to punt that position, but I'm happy that I have my tight end already. So now I'm going to go with upside players here, and I'm going to do a situation here where I'm going to go running back heavy. That's my plan. And here in the 5th round to grab Alexander Mattison, I couldn't be happier because the guy's going to get majority share of carries there. I know everybody can argue that he's just inefficient at the position and hasn't been that great. But again, this is going to be his first full season there. It's going to be the first time he's working with the ones consistently. And the coaches love him as an every down back already. I know he's not going to, put up the numbers, but if you get numbers like Najee Harris, you're getting a top 12 guy in the 5th round. I'm taking it. Darren Waller goes after Pitts, 2 tight ends, Swift and Godwin. And this is exactly what I wanted to happen here.
Or James Conner. I knew
James Conner. Like, I know Ayuk's sitting there, Lockett's sitting there, and yeah, but I'm already saying I'm going RB heavy, and I'm taking my 4th running back in James Conner. And now I don't have to touch running back again this entire draft. I just completely sandwiched Hawkinson with running backs, and that's what I wanted to do. Judy, Lawrence, Goddard, Ayuk, Cook, then Lockett, right before you at the 6-10.
Yeah, I mean, the guys I have sitting there are Javonte Williams, Rashad White, Isaiah Pacheco. Wide receivers, I like them better. And I like pretty much the only person that is worth a damn on the Arizona Cardinals receiving wise, and get Marquise Brown right there.
I like it. He's going too late for me in these drafts. I don't understand how people Arizona may not stink. Like, to me, they may not be that bad.
Mike Williams is sitting there too. It's really like I really like Mike Williams, but I really like George Pickens sitting there too. And I'm not going to be able to touch either one of them in the next round. All the running backs are still there. I'm solid at Pollard and ETN, where I can kind of wait and get a 3rd guy later on. I think at wide receiver and rounding out my guy there, I think George Pickens. It's tough for me. I think I'm going to go with George Pickens here, and I think getting Pickens as my flex is something I really want this year.
I think he's like the perfect flex player because he's got the upside to be a low-end wide receiver 1 finish on the season. He could be just outside the top 15 or at that 15, but you have him as your flex position. His touchdown capital is going to be there, I think. I think he's going to be there. Mike Williams goes afterwards, another good guy too, but injuries, you got to put that into account. Rashad White, Javonte, Dak Prescott, Pacheco, Treylon Burks. So now, like I said, now I'm going to start going to these wide receivers. And the fact that I've got Mike Evans and Deontay Johnson sitting there for me as my wide receiver too, I got to go with Mike Evans. I'm going to go with the guy that's going to have a presence in the red zone big time, big hands. And I don't care. Yeah, maybe he's not going to get those big, deep shots. Maybe he doesn't reach 1,000 yards, but he has a chance to still get 10 touchdowns this season. There's always a chance. Like, you never know. So I'm going to take the chance on that. And again, because I've got my position done here, I'm looking at the quarterbacks that are available. You've got Tua, Richardson, Cousins. I'm still in the 8th round. I want to get more depth at that wide receiver position. And I'm going to take another guy who's got a good grasp on the touchdown capital for his team. And that's what I'm building on. If you look at this, Stephon Diggs, touchdowns. Chubb, touchdowns. Mixon, touchdowns. Hockenson, Madison, Connor. These guys have major touchdown capital on their team. And I'm going to do the same thing with Jahan Dotson, who had 7 touchdowns last year for his team. And I think he can do the same thing. So I'm happy now taking whoever comes quarterback-wise from the 9th round on because of what I've done beforehand. So you've got Njoku, Addison, Gibson, Ingram, Charbonnet, Penny coming back to you at the 8-10.
Yeah, I think right now I have, Kadarius Toney, Quentin Johnson available, Gabe Davis, but I have a number 2 on Dallas's team, which is Brandon Cooks, who I think is going to be, he's a number 1 playing at a number 2 position. So I'm going to go and draft him right there. And let's see who swings around to me, because it's going to be the same guy that I've gotten in every draft so far. And he's sitting right there. And that's in the 9th round again, Khalil Herbert. And I'll go and take that any day of the week. So he's my 9th round specialty.
Tony, Davis, Tua, Williams, Cousins, and Samaje Perine. Now, this is what I love here. This is tough for me to pass up, but I'm in a position that I want to do something very sneaky. So if I look at the 2 teams after me, they already have Mahomes and Jackson. So I'm going to take a page out of Chris's book from the last draft that he did. I'm going to go upside pick with Anthony Richardson, and I'm going to swing around and I'm going to take Aaron Rodgers for the floor. And I can't be happier with that duo right there, because if Anthony Richardson claims what the Richardson believers are going to be, then he's going to be better than Aaron Rodgers. But at the least, I've got Aaron Rodgers. So to be honest, I couldn't be more happy to have that at my quarterback position at the 9-10 turn. You've got Cortland Sutton.
The ceiling for him, I think, is it's Josh Allen. The floor, though, is Jamarcus Russell. So
yeah. That's what but you have Aaron Rodgers there, who's going to be my week 1 starter until I see what Richards can do. He's going to be the starter there, and I'm happy with that. Sutton goes Bateman, Beckham, Schultz, A-Chain, and Jamison Williams. And you're sitting here, you already got your quarterback, your tight end. You don't have to do anything besides build depth at this point.
Yeah, and there's a lot of guys here I like. You did this in the last draft where you grabbed Eli Mitchell. I think I like him there. But there's another guy I like that's just super heavily involved, especially late in the season last year, and that's Jerick McKinnon. So I'm going to draft Jerick McKinnon here.
I like that too. Dalton Kincaid, Damian Harris, Geno Smith, and Alan Lazard, Alan Lazard is a sneaky pick, in my opinion. That would have been something where if I didn't want to go Richardson, I would have went Rodgers, Lazard, and paired the 2 of them, because he's going to be another guy that's going to sneaky pick.
Yeah, and here's the upside pick that I'm going to go and throw a dart at is the reports are that he's going to end up being heavily used in this offense, and I'm going to go Sky Moore here, and because he's on Kansas City. So why don't I want a piece of that?
Exactly. The aforementioned Eli Mitchell goes, Adam Thielen, Daniel Jones, Raheem Mostert, who I was hoping would fall back to me there too, Algier, Cole Kmet. And again, I've got my tight end. I've got 2 quarterbacks. I'm going to punt the defense and kicking position here because I really want to just build up the best possible team that I can. And what I want to do is go with a guy that, to me, is going to have a bigger grasp. I don't know if anybody got to watch Jacksonville play yesterday, but Tank Bigsby looked like a tank. And I'm going to go with him and grab another running back position here. And then I'm going to go with the former teammate of Aaron Rodgers and take another guy who also, if you did not watch yesterday, looked fantastic and continues to have a rapport with Jordan Love, and that's going to be Romeo Doubs. I keep saying I think he's going to lead Green Bay in receptions, and the difference between drafting Christian Watson and him is so great in a draft between a wide receiver 1 and a wide receiver 2. I don't know why you would even go Watson at that point. Devin Singletary, Rashee Rice, Dulcich, Mooney, Wilson, Higbee, and you got you at the 12-10.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's a lot of things I could do here. There's one guy I really like from last year, and I think is going to have a big role in their offense this year. I think this is another spot where I can just keep loading up depth at wide receiver is Nico Collins. So I'm going to draft Nico Collins here.
I still can't believe the wide receiver 1 coming into a team that has a solid, good rookie quarterback who, after the beginning of the game yesterday, looked pretty good the rest of the time. And he's going to be the big target there. Like, I don't get how he's fallen to the 12th round. People just don't trust Houston, I guess.
Yeah.
Yet we're trusting Hollywood Brown with a backup quarterback.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. The other guy I'm going to go and draft, I'm going to draft some depth at the running back position. And in case anything did happen, I think that we've seen in the preseason so far that Tennessee is doing a hell of a job running the football. And so if anything did happen to Henry, I'm going to go and draft Tajay Spears right here to have a solidified number 1 running back.
So after you took Nico Collins, it went Deontay Foreman, Zeke, Sam Laporta, Roshan Johnson, and then you picked Spears. Following up with that was Bryce Young, Mingo, Moore, Rondell Moore, Justin Tucker, McPherson, and Butker, 3 kickers in a row. Now here, I know I got to get a kicker in a defense, and I'm going to say to myself, I was going to punt it all the way to the 14th and 15th pick. But hear me out, people. This last pick of position player is going to be somebody I'm willing to take a chance on that I could probably drop week 1 if it doesn't turn out, or hold on to all season and maybe be a playoff helper. So in that case, I don't think he's going to be picked up by anybody in the next 2 rounds. So I'm going to go ahead and grab defense here. I'm going to go with the Pittsburgh Steelers, change it up. I think this defensive line is going to be fantastic, and they're always good, and they're in a competitive division. And then I'm going to go ahead and grab my kicker, and I'm going to go with somebody who I would normally go with Tyler Bass, but I don't want somebody on the outside, so I'm going to go with the guy who's on a team that's probably going to score a lot of points, and that's Dicker the kicker, because that team is going to be in scoring position plenty often.
Dicker the kicker.
So Jalen Warren went after I picked the Steelers, another kicker, then Gerald Everett. After I picked Dicker, the kicker, it went Derek Carr, Mike Mayer, and Zay Jones from Jacksonville, and then 3 kickers in a row before it got to you here, where obviously you got to go defense and kicker.
Yep, I got to go defense and kicker, so I'm going to go Myers kicker for Seattle. They're going to score a lot of points. Let the 2 defenses go in front of me because I'm perfectly happy grabbing the Eagles defense there.
And here sitting in the last pick of the draft, again, this is a guy who's been shining heavily this preseason. Well, really 1 game, but has an opportunity. It's between Tank Dell and Marvin Mims as 2 guys that I want to pick here. And again, either one of them could be throwaways if they don't pan out to be what they are hoping to be on their teams. But I'm going to take a chance and just say that the offense in Denver is going to increase, and we're going to see somebody that is going to truly be the wide receiver 3 there and could overtake one of those other guys because he's just a physical freak too as well. And I'm going to go Marvin Mims Jr. here. Again, it's a throwaway pick, but it's the last pick in the draft. I could drop him for an early waiver if there's an injury to a running back. Say somebody like Eckler gets injured, or Taylor, or any of these other big running backs that don't have a lot of depth behind them. I'll spend fab and drop Marvin Mims Jr. to get another running back there if I wanted to. So to round out this draft, again, I'm drafting from the 10 spot. I started off with Stephon Diggs, and I was trying to go 0 RB, but then the draft fell to me where Nick Chubb was still there in the 2nd round, and that is just sacrilegious. He is the most undervalued fantasy football player in the history of the game. So I took Nick Chubb, and then I decided, you know what? I'm going to take Joe Mixon. I'm going to go with the early TJ Hawkinson in the 4th round because I didn't want to miss out on one of those top 4 guys. And then I was said to myself, Madison in the 5th and James Conner in the 6th. I'm going to go running back heavy. I want touchdown capital there. I was okay passing on Chris Godwin, Brandon Ayuk, Lockett, Hollywood, because look what came around in the 7th. Mike Evans, Jahan Dotson. I was hoping it would be Evans and maybe Deontay Johnson. But to me, Evans, Dotson, happy with that. And then knowing that the quarterback position was starting to get a little bit thin because Cousins and Tua went before me, I was hoping for either one of them to fall to me. Instead, I went with the high upside of Anthony Richardson with a ceiling that could be amazing. And I backed it up with the Aaron Rodgers high floor play. And then I just went depth after that. Tank Bigsby, another running back depth. Romeo Doubs is going to be a great option there in Green Bay. I will say it again. He's going to lead Green Bay in receptions. And then took my defense and kicker because my last pick in the draft, Marvin Mims Jr., was going to be a dart throw. It was going to be Jalen Hyatt, Tank Dell, Marvin Mims Jr., one of those guys that, there's upside in their offenses, but I'm okay if they end up dudding out, and I'll just drop him for depth later on.
Yeah, I kind of, drafting at the 3 position, I went with a lot of upside picks. Now, I really, really like my team drafting from the 3rd position here. Started off with Tyreek Hill. Again, took him over a couple players that should have been up there. The 2nd round went Tony Pollard, then Travis Etienne, and then went George Kittle and Justin Fields. So solidified my tight end and my quarterback position. Both guys with a lot of upside at their positions. Then Marquise Brown, George Pickens, Brandon Cooks to round out my wide receiver core. And then Khalil Herbert, Jerick McKinnon as my 2 backups for the running back position. I find myself now, this is 3 drafts, the 3rd draft that we've done, and Khalil Herbert's been on my team in each one of them. And that's because he's fallen to the 9th round, and he's going to be an RB1 on a team that likes to run the football.
I don't think he'll stay there in that 9th round in most drafts. In fact, you look at people who know how to draft in a league, I think he'll be closer. But I still see him falling to 7th round, like after James Conner, after Javonte Williams, after Pacheco. To me, James Cook is going before him, and I just don't know how that's possible either.
Yeah. So then Sky Moore, just started going with a lot of upside guys. Sky Moore, Nico Collins, and Tajay Spears, all guys that could be heavily used in their offenses. If Sky Moore takes a big step in year 2, being in that Kansas City offense is really beneficial. There's a lot of potency in the pass offense. So I like having a piece of that. And then Nico Collins being the number 1 wide receiver on his team. Again, like we talked about, this is an offense that we really like, to take a big step forward. And I think that they're going to figure it out. And how do you not like a guy like Nico Collins? And then Tajay Spears, like I said, when I drafted him, that in the preseason so far, not only has Tajay Spears been really good, but that entire Tennessee rushing offense has been really good. And if anything happened to Derrick Henry, Tajay Spears is the number 2 there. Although Chestnut's making a real case to be involved in that offense as well. But Tajay Spears is going to be the guy behind him. And how do you not like a running back in that offense? So it came down to, if I really liked, I was going to go Eli Mitchell a couple rounds before as being kind of like a backup, if a handcuff, but I like Tajay Spears as a handcuff as well. And then rounding out with my kicker and my defense, Jason Myers, Eagles defense. And this is probably my favorite of the 3 that I've done so far. What at least my starting lineup is going to look like. I'm really happy with this team.
Yeah, I think you got a lot of upside play. A lot of points will be up there. And I'm actually pretty happy with this team too here because I thought I was going to be thin on receiver. This is not my favorite one. I think I liked, when I did team 11. But to say that, Diggs, Evans, Dotson as wide receivers, I just love the running back core here. So it's tough for me not to like it. But the fact that I have Aaron Rodgers, my starting quarterback, it is a pretty fun team here at the 10th spot. So that rounds it out.
I just look at it like Tyreek Hill and Justin Fields alone can win me a week if they both blow
Correct.
up, and throw on top of that Tony Pollard, Etienne, Kittle, and Marquise Brown, and then George Pickens if he turns into anything, and we see his production go up. I mean, I really like this team and what you can do out of the 3 spot. and this is where Jono is going to be drafted in our main league. So I'm giving him a little preview as to what he can do.
I know. Trust me, I've been tempted to go Tyreek.
Yeah,
I've been tempted.
He's going to shy away from it.
I am. No, I was tempted to go Tyreek, but for those out there wondering why I wouldn't go Tyreek, the way Chris did is I do have Jalen Waddle, and I know it would be kind of nasty to go the two Dolphins wide receivers, but I'm not going to do that. No. So that being said, that's the end of our mock draft here on our Mockathon. So stay tuned. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Hit that notification button so you can see the next episode and mock draft that we're dropping, where I'm going to be drafting from the 4 spot and Chris will be drafting from the 9 spot. We're going to work our way in till, boom, 6 versus 7. And